If you have an ADHD brain, you know the feeling. Trying to break a bad habit can honestly feel like you're fighting a battle against yourself. But what if I told you there's a way to work with your brain's unique wiring, instead of constantly fighting against it? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to learn how to hack the very system that keeps those stubborn habits locked in place. You know, I saw this quote from a Reddit user, and it just hits the nail on the head, right? It's that autopilot mode. That feeling where your hands are already scrolling or grabbing a snack before your brain even has a chance to catch up. You get stuck in this loop, and it is so frustrating. And believe me, it is incredibly common. But here's the good news. That autopilot does not have to be the one flying the plane. The whole point of this explainer is to hand you a clear, science-backed flight plan so you can finally take back the controls of your own habits, one small tweak at a time.
So first things first, we've got to understand the machinery behind this autopilot. I mean, why is it so powerful? And why does the ADHD brain seem to default to it so darn easily? Well, it all comes down to one thing: saving energy.
Okay, think about this for a second. Get this. Research shows that a staggering 45% of our daily actions are habits. That's nearly half of your entire day running on these pre-programmed scripts, all happening without you even consciously thinking about it. Your brain is just trying to be efficient. And the operating system for that autopilot, it's called the habit loop. It's the simple but really powerful 3-step pattern that your brain uses to automate basically everything, from brushing your teeth in the morning to, endlessly scrolling on your phone at night. And it works like this. First, you've got a cue. This is the trigger. It could be a time of day, a feeling, a place, whatever. That cue kicks off the routine. That's the action you do automatically. And then finally, you get a reward. That's the satisfying payoff that basically tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this loop for next time. Now, this is where dopamine comes in, and for the ADHD brain, this part is absolutely critical. You see, a lot of bad habits, like stress eating or impulse buying, that give you a really quick, really potent hit of dopamine. That immediate gratification makes the reward signal super powerful, which just reinforces the loop over and over, making it so much harder to resist. So if we can't just smash the autopilot with willpower alone, what do? We hack it. Yeah, we become engineers of our own behavior. We're going to strategically take that habit loop apart and then rebuild it to actually serve our goals. And here's the 4-step game plan to do just that. We're going to identify the loop, figure out the real reward our brain is actually craving, replace the routine with something better, and then create a plan for when that trigger strikes. Okay, step 1, you've got to become a detective. Seriously. For the next couple of days, anytime you catch yourself in that bad habit, just pause and observe. What just happened? Was it a specific time, like that 3 p.m. slump? Were you at your desk? Or was it a feeling, like you were bored or anxious? You can't disarm a trigger you don't even know exists. Next, you need to ask yourself this super important question. What am I really getting out of this? Like when you're mindlessly scrolling, is the reward actually seeing your friends' updates, or is it just a way to escape a stressful task for a few minutes? When you grab a sugary snack, is it about hunger, or is it about finding a little bit of comfort? Understanding that underlying need is the absolute key to finding a better substitute. And that's where we replace the routine. See, once you know the rewards you're chasing, you can swap in a healthier option that gives you a similar payoff. If your brain wants a hit of stimulation, maybe a quick puzzle game on your phone can replace the endless scrolling. If it's craving comfort, a short walk or just writing in a journal can replace stress eating. The new routine has to scratch the exact same itch. And finally, you give your brain a new script. It's called an if-then plan. And it's so simple but so powerful. You're basically creating a pre-planned automatic response. So, if I feel bored at my desk, then I will get up and stretch for 2 minutes. This gives your brain a really clear, easy path to follow. It hijacks the old cue and reroutes it to your new, better routine. Okay, so you have a plan, but we all know life happens, right? Distractions pop up, stress hits, and those old patterns are strong. So how do we make sure this new system actually sticks around? Let's talk about the traps, the common pitfalls. The biggest mistake by far is starting too big. Trying to change everything all at once is just a recipe for overwhelm. Another killer is that all or nothing thinking, where you miss one day and decide the whole thing is a failure. And hey, make sure your new habits have clear rewards and specific triggers, or they just won't have the power to take root. You have to remember, you are going to have off days. You will slip up, but that is not failure. That's just part of the process. I love this quote. It says, "Growth is a winding path." So the real win isn't being perfect. It's getting back on the trail after you've stumbled. And look, you don't have to do this all on your own. There are some amazing tools out there that can act as your external support system. Apps like Habiteka can turn your goals into a fun game. Planners like TickTick help you break down your tasks. A site blocker like FocusMe can create that little bit of friction you need to avoid distraction. And honestly, even a simple journal can be your best friend for tracking cues and celebrating those wins.
So the most important rule of all, the goal here is consistency, not perfection. Every single time you choose that new routine, you're strengthening that pathway in your brain. A slip-up isn't a failure. It's just a chance to practice getting back on track. So celebrate the reset. That's a win too.
All right, we've covered the science, we've covered the strategy. Now it's time to make it real. Let's bring all this down to one single action you can take, like right now. This quote by Mary Salanto is pure gold, especially for anyone with ADHD. If you find yourself procrastinating on starting your new habit, it just means you haven't made it small enough yet. The key isn't some huge, heroic leap. It's a step that's so tiny it feels almost silly, almost effortless. And that's the difference between a wish and a plan. I'll exercise more is a vague wish, but I'll go for a 10-minute walk after lunch. That's a concrete plan. It has a trigger, after lunch, and a micro step that's super specific and totally achievable. So pick one thing, just one, and make it ridiculously small. This right here is the entire philosophy. It's about building momentum, one small, imperfect step at a time. Progress, not perfection. So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about next week or next month. What is the one tiny, specific habit that you can commit to tracking just for tomorrow? Because that, right there, is where taking back the controls begins.